call this meeting to order. You can keep on munching away. So we need to establish a forum, so, secretary, please.
Director Covington?
Yes.
Director, Vice President Zuka?
Yes.
Director Cotton?
Yes.
Director Patel?
Yes.
President Bella?
Yes.
We have a
What
quorum.
are we agreeing to,
Oh,
actually?
yes, here.
We're here.
Budgetary shortfall. You are in
We
the,
all said yes to an implied question as to are we here? Yes. I mean,
we do have a forum, so, very good. And may I ask the secretary to please lead us into the pledge? Okay, please rise.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. It is good to see everyone. And traveled 5,000 miles today. Right on time. And as soon as I landed here, I go like, thank God. Thank God for this country. The weather was miserable, miserable in France, in Germany, and in Italy. And for those who wanted to know, I actually did meet the Pope. I did. I did, and I have a picture to prove it. I'll show you.
Selfie with them?
Huh?
Take a selfie with them? What did you do?
Of course. He's American, come on, you can do that, you can do that. All right, next, public comments, please.
No comments.
No comments, thank you. Agenda review. Anyone? Hearing none, we're good, thank you very much. Presentation is done. Consent agenda. We have the approval of the minutes. Expenditures. We do have a motion by Vice President Zuka. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Director Patel.
Vice President Zuka?
Yes.
Director Patel?
Yes.
Director Cotton?
Yes.
Director Covington?
Yes.
President Bella?
Yes. Very good. And now we'll move on to hearing and appeals, public hearing and annual report on vacancy recruitment and retention efforts for fiscal year 25-26. General Manager,
This one is for.
This is my domain.
you're done.
Yes, all right. So as you may recall from last year, we were given new legislation that required us to report out on vacancies and recruitment and retention strategies that we have, so formerly known as AB 2561. So before the budget can be adopted, a public open hearing needs to be held, which this will be. So I just kind of want to take you guys on the journey of this past fiscal year and what recruitment looked like for us. So as I stated, this was legislation that was brought on last year to amend the Brown Act. Obviously, the Brown Act is the rules and regulations that we all follow. What do we do? Well, I track vacancy rates in both bargaining units, which we have 2 of. I present the status of vacancies annually before the budget. I identify any barriers in recruitment and the selection process. We do allow the employee association to come and make a presentation on their own. They have chosen not to. Additionally, reporting requirements if the vacancy rate is 20% or higher, there's additional data points that I need to provide. We're fortunate that we have a 0 vacancy rate. So this is just fun data for you all to listen to. So let's talk about what I worked with this year. So for the 25-26 fiscal year, you can see that I had 3 non-exempt employee positions open. We had the 1 exempt position, AKA Sarah. And so these are the recruitment timelines. I think it's always a good benefit to see what a recruitment life cycle looks like and how they vary from position to position. And so the first ones that I'll talk about are our non-exempt employees. So as you remember, we used to have Ron here, who was our front desk customer service. He retired. So the vacancy type was based on retirement. So we put out a posting for administrative assistant. And in 6 days, I closed it because I received 136 applications, which is very unheard of. But I guess in this day and age, it was probably to be expected. So after 6 days, we reviewed the 136 applications. We hosted first round interviews on the 5th. We invited 8 candidates. We invited 3 candidates back for the second round, and Aviana started on the 30th of that same month. So that was a month and a half recruitment life cycle, which is very quick. Then we had our maintenance technicians, and if you recall, we recruited for dual positions. So it was either a water maintenance operator or a maintenance technician. So we just wanted to see what the candidate pool looked like. So when we put it out there was for either or. So we got a good realm of candidates, but ultimately the district decided that maintenance techs that are newer to the field was going to be where we wanted to focus, mostly because we wanted to be able to teach them how we run our system. So we had 2 vacancy types. One was from retirement, one was from resignation. We opened it and we kept it open until filled, which is pretty typical of recruitments, especially when it's multiple positions. I got 86 applications, which when I look back historically, in the 23-24 fiscal year, we only received 12. So we jumped up just a little bit. First round interviews were held on November 4th. We invited 10 candidates to interview with us. Out of those 10, we invited 5 back the following week on the 12th. And out of those 5, we hired Keith, who started in December, and Andy, who started in January. So total, that life cycle was 4 months. And then we had to do a fun recruitment for the operations manager. So for that recruitment, we actually posted an end time, because usually typically for positions like management, you want to have an open-ended time. So it's letting them know that they have to get their information into us to be considered by a certain date. We got 90 applications. That was a lot. What you don't see captured in here, because it looked a little too jumbly, was that Kat and myself did 22 phone screenings prior to first round interviews. We did first round interviews over 2 days, mostly because those interviews usually last between an hour to sometimes an hour and a half. And so we only had so much time in our day. So out of those candidates, we invited 2 back for second round interviews. And then Sarah started August 4th. So that total life cycle lasted 4 months. Typically, the district has done recruitment firms to hire for management positions. I believe for my position, when it was being recruited, the district paid about $20,000 for that. Doing this in-house, obviously, it was just my own time. All right, so recruitment, retention, and process improvements. Well, what do we do? Well, we regularly review compensation and benefits to ensure that we're regionally competitive, which I can confidently say we still are. We just engaged with Wendy Brown and Associates to do a new comp plan for us, because the last one that was done was in 2018, as well as we'll have negotiations coming up in about a year. What else do? We support employee growth through professional development, training, and conferences for all staff. This was something that Kat really emphasized, her wanting to make sure that it was accessible to all staff to be able to go to any trainings or any conferences that they deemed were beneficial for them. We foster a positive workplace culture through employee engagement efforts. We maintain strong candidate pools, and we conduct targeted outreach. And what were some improvements that we did? Well, we streamlined the application and interview procedures to reduce time to hire. So for instance, when I came on board, I got to fill out a paper application, which was crazy. And now everything is.
It was a long time ago, right?
It was only 2 years. It was only 2 years ago. So when I came on board, everything became digital, which just streamlined the process to make it accessible for all of us to review applications. The pre-boarding workflows to speed up onboarding was implemented. We improved job advertising by using clearer, more engaging postings, including expansion of job board and recruitment brochure. And we updated job descriptions when needed to better reflect current roles and responsibilities. So what's in the future? Well, in the budget, you can see that there is budgeted for a operator. That is a current vacancy that we do have. We're not sure if we're going to keep it as such. We're still kind of mulling over if it needs to be an operator or if there needs to be some other sort of position, whether it be administrative or not. So it's not something that it's a need to jump on higher now. it's good to just see what the district needs before we make a decision like that.
This is related to the creation of the cross connection control program specialist and that person moving from an operator position. So we're still watching that program evolve and we'll figure out what our needs are.
Yes.
When we get there.
Mhm. And that's it. Any public comments?
Excellent presentation. Good job, Alison.
Thank you.
Very, very well done indeed. Very well explained. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, this is a public comment, so we open it to the public at this point, or
Mhm.
shall we get? Okay,
There's nobody in the.
nobody? Did we receive any comments?
No, we
from
did
the
not.
writing? Okay, good. So, we'll close the public hearing. And at this point, do we have any comments from the board?
See, also, just a question again, you said the last time we had technical positions open, we only got 12 applicants.
Correct. So in 2023-24 fiscal year, we had a water system operator recruitment open and they received 12 applications. I wasn't able to find anything from the year before I came on board, which would be the 24-25. But it was relatively low. If you look historically, everything has been relatively low. We just have had a very big influx, and that just kind of shows you what is the need around here. For example, when I put out the application, the recruitment for the administrative assistant, I was getting managers from IT companies applying to it. You know, so people that were beyond overqualified for that position because there's just a need for jobs.
And also, I mean, the district historically had a hard time hiring operators and created the maintenance tech position. And part of it is just we weren't really particularly competitive. And part of it was probably also our recruitment tactics too. But it was a big challenge for many years and there were a lot of, vacancies. The really, really big thing that changed was the 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Which made us very competitive.
Well, the 4-day work week and pegging our salaries at ACWDs, which is the highest in the region.
And salaries also our approach. And it was funny because the first recruitment we opened after we did the 4-day work week and we reached out to everyone with the cert in the area. We didn't get much traction, but we heard from a number of people that they thought the 4-day work week wasn't real. They thought it was some kind of scam. So it took a while for them to
Just the real-
figure out that it was real, truth it, make sure we weren't gonna like switch it back. And then also some of them reached out to their managers and said, they got a 4-day work week, we need one too. And then that didn't actually go anywhere, so when we did our second push, then we got.
So as we,
So many applicants.
this is not the first time we've seen this, so, thank you very much. Other agencies are doing the same thing.
Yes,
We
they're all
went through the same,
Yeah.
process with Bosca as well, even though their number of employees are even a lot less than ours here. So regardless of the number, agencies have to go through that. The question that I have with regards to this Assembly Bill 2561, because you kept on mentioning on the timeline, if you are actively recruiting and you don't like anybody, we've seen many times that you throw the list out, and then you start all over again. So the recruitment that I saw here within, 4 months, you actually fill a position. That's awesome, I mean, I remember going through recruitment processes where it could take 9 months to fill, especially, management positions.
Yes.
So if you do take longer and longer, but you are actively recruiting, I mean, what are the repercussions, or is there any?
There are none.
None. So who do you have to answer to anybody for
No.
not complying with this?
Just an annual report.
And public hearing.
The rumor is later they're gonna, but this is a pro labor bill, right?
Of course.
And the next step would be you have to fill those positions, right? We're not there yet. This was sort of like step A.
What I heard was that this is the unions wanting to make sure that vacancies aren't being used to meet budget. And so therefore that the vacancies are being brought to the elected bodies so that they can, hold their staff to the feet to the fire and not just keep positions empty.
Right.
Correct.
So that's kind of it's.
And you patch that with maybe the overtime budget and all that, those maneuvers that we
So-
are all familiar with in the past. Yeah,
It's a transparency.
Okay.
And you would have your associations or unions speaking at the public
Yeah.
hearing if there was a
So
concern.
when we did this at SPCW, the union was there, and I was like, we have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, excellent. Anything else from the board? Nothing? Okay, this is a public hearing, so we do need a motion.
It's just a presentation,
Just a presentation.
information only, yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, very good. Thank you. Then, so we'll move on to the CIP, the received draft. This is a draft capital improvement program update. So I'll pass it on to the general manager, please.
Yes, so the last time we updated the CIP was about 2 years ago. So we've been working with, Jubin's team, identifying new projects and updating the numbers. They've been doing all the heavy lifting. We just get to go to a couple meetings and talk about things. So this is the draft. The goal is to bring the final one up for board approval. Maybe next month, maybe September. We'll see, how long it takes us to get the details worked out. But this is the first look, so I'll.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So a couple of things. This is actually a DMV vision test also. It's one of the spreadsheets also
Yeah.
on the screen there. I'd like you guys to. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna ask for column and row. Okay. I shall then have to read out the number. So one of my partners has a magnifying glass along with glasses, so I'm like, that's when you know the font is getting too low. So, or too small. So this is the sausage, or how the sausage is made, or the background on how we end up spending our capital dollars. And the whole point of a program is to make sure that we're spending money the right way, in the right order, on the right projects. And that's what the capital improvement program shows, that there's a thought behind it, and there is a methodology behind how we categorize projects and how everything is put together. And so I'll kind of skip over the spreadsheet. I'll come back to it, but I just want to kind of show the individual projects and how they're put together. So Allison, if you don't mind going to page 45 or the first sheet after the spreadsheets. There we go. So each individual capital project has a data sheet that's associated with it. And this data sheet is designed to show the ratepayers, the customers, and the board the background on the project and the improvements that we're proposing, the benefits, and then the most importantly, the dollars. And those dollars increase every year. We don't do a project, right? If the project is still on the book. So that takes some time to make sure that we're getting those dollars correct every time we bring an estimate back to the board. And we try to do this, as Kat said, every 2 to 3 years. And those dollars are estimated based on actual bids that are received, that we have here and at the other water districts on the peninsula. So it's very local. And historically, we've been pretty good at making sure that we're close on those.
Jubin, does this mean that when this was originally developed, there were bids received for all of these projects?
No, let me say it another way. We based the linear footage cost of the water mains that we estimate based on actual bids that we receive for actual construction projects.
Thank you.
So we extrapolate those costs out.
Understood. Because I was like, geez, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy time. Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
yeah,
No. I just mind.
So they're based on actual bids that are received for other projects.
Okay, thank you.
On
Thank
here and on the peninsula. The thing that I also wanted to point out is the last sentence on most of these data sheets. It says that there's a distribution system analysis and there's a number associated with that. Right, so there's actually a backup report that's not in the CIP, but it's shown there. And if you want to see it, I've shown some of the, Matt and Lewis have probably seen this. I've done a show and tell on that. And I probably will now because I just realized that there's 3 new board members. So I'll do that at the July meeting. But each one of these projects has a backup hydraulic analysis, right? A hydraulic meaning we run these projects through the hydraulic model that we have for the district. And that way the pipes that are proposed are sized properly and the limits of the project are properly
we don't need to go another block or 2 blocks to make sure we have fire flows. And there's, when we upsize pipes or when we have projects, it's multifaceted. It could be because we're taking out old pipe that's, leaking a lot. Or, so that's on the spreadsheet. I'm kind of jumping around, but the way we get that information is through the hydraulic model. So if there's improvements in fire flows in a neighborhood, we get those through the hydraulic model. We say, okay, instead of a 6-inch, we do an 8-inch. We get this much fire flow. If we do a 10-inch, we could do a lot of what ifs, right? And we kind of land on the right number there. So this thing's really slowed down the PDF if you open it up in PDF.
Yeah.
So and this is part of the main report that ends up on our website, right? So if you go to our website, the last CIP is on the website, and it has all these projects. And again, the whole point is transparency to our ratepayers, right? To show that we're looking at these projects, we're really analyzing them, and here's the list. Now, Allison, if you could scroll down to the bottom of this page to the left, or maybe this to the right. Let's see, where does it say the project number? There it is, right there, 1501. So our very first, it's big, so you can see it. Right under, right to the right of the logo, the Mid-Pen logo, it says the name of the project and then the project number. I wanted to let the board know that project number designates the year that this project was added to the CIP. So you'll see a ton of projects that were listed in the 15s, because that was our very first capital improvement program that we developed for the district. Before that, it was sort of like, oh, we're having a leak here, let's spend some money fixing it here or there, and so forth. So you'll see a bunch of projects that are 15s, and then as the years go by, it gets less and less because we fine tune and captured projects we'll never have 0 projects being added because there's always improvements and there's always renewal of pipe. But this year we added 4, for example, on this upgrade. So the numbers are 1501, 2, 3, 4, and that's how it goes with the projects. And then as projects get completed, they moved into another category. Can we go to page 155 on the spreadsheet? I'm sorry, on the screen here, and I'll go back to the.
Said 155?
Yes, please. Not 45. It feels like there's 45,000 project. But these are projects that are 26 series. So these are the projects that were added this time. So I'll highlight these. There's 3 of them. Or 4 of them, I'm sorry. So
2601, right?
this is 2601, exactly. So I had to write the page numbers down so we jump instead of scrolling because it's gonna be really slow. This is a project that we had as part of the Oak Knoll DLNO, a project that just got constructed. We were planning on doing this as part of the project that was just constructed, but come to find out as we were going out to bid, the city ended up, and correct me if I don't have the timing right, but we went out to the field to mark our pipe and we saw that the city had started construction on that road. This was several generations ago as far as public works directors and city engineers and so forth. The communication has improved tremendously, I have to say, since this time. So we pulled the project, or we pulled this portion of the project that's shown here. We separated it out. Obviously, we couldn't construct it. They were just about to overlay the road, so we didn't want to dig it up. So we reassigned it as its own project. But this is on the books to update a 4-inch water main in that area, which is really small for a water main, to an 8-inch in that area.
Yeah.
And it leads up to a dead end and it goes uphill. It's sort of that curved, if you've been in that area, it sort of curves uphill, and that cul-de-sac at the very top is the top of the hill. So we really want to make sure we have enough fire flow or pipe size to get up there. Okay, can I go to the next page, Allison, if possible? So the next couple are tank projects, tank recoating projects. These came out of the reports that we received from our coating inspectors. This was something that we started doing to make sure that we're capturing our assets for the district, correctly, making sure that we're looking at all of our assets. So we had all of our tanks looked at for their coating, and they gave us a timeline as far as when each tank needed to be recoated. So the next 2 are tank projects, and then on 158 is. This is a project that I think we're all somewhat familiar with. We've talked about this. There's a pipeline that we have that goes through someone's backyard, an easement, and or lack of easement, and the person didn't want to give us the whole bunch of easement issues. This is on Lincoln. And we've talked about this in closed session. This project is added to the capital program to essentially abandon that cross country, going down the easement line, that's that hatch line, and then put a water line on the street, which is advantageous for doing any repairs or having, if there's any leaks, it gets captured with curb and gutter if it's in that area. So these projects got added on. It doesn't necessarily mean that and this is a draft, so you can see the project background is Xed out. We'll fill all that in and, fine tune it. As projects get added on, they're ranked. So it doesn't mean that a new project comes in, all of a sudden it moves to the top, right? We add projects to the overall list, and then they're ranked, and then we see how the rankings come in, and then they move up. So these are the 4 that got added on. I'll just keep going. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions, but if we can go back to page 42, which is a spreadsheet. And I think that's the best way to do this. I don't know, but anyway, so this has all the, probably the best way I could say it is this has all the constituents of each project summarized. So it has, so Matt, row 36, column 32. So this has all the information that we need to be able to rank the projects. It has all the cost data, it has the contingencies, the design, the construction management. So if you look at one of those rows for a project, it summarizes and pulls all the information from the exhibits, right? So we start with the exhibits and then we pull the information from the exhibits, we put it here. And then Allison, can we zoom in on the right side of the table, kind of below those yellow lines there? Yeah, and then yeah, that's perfect. So these are the rankings, and I know unfortunately the top of the spreadsheet doesn't come in, but each man, gosh, what's the best way? Yeah, can you go up? So sorry, I'm sorry. There we go. That's pretty good. I'm sorry I keep pointing with this, but these are our rankings that we look at to see how a project moves up. So we look at the hydraulic capacity, and that has a definition essentially. If it's a 4-inch pipe, and when we do the modeling, it needs to be a 12-inch pipe. And I'm so sorry I have my back to you. I apologize. That gets a really high ranking, right? Because there's a big difference in pipe size versus if we do a hydraulic modeling and it goes from a 4-inch to an 8-inch, that's a lower hydraulic capacity constraint. Then there's affected hydrants. If the project has 1 or 2 hydrants versus 15 hydrants that are getting affected, more bang for the buck for the customer, for our customers, right? Because there's more fire protection. System benefits, those are also defined. Location, is it in a cross country where if it leaks, we're taking out a foundation and homes versus it's on a street. Age, material, and then number of leaks. We're still, you can see that's highlighted in yellow. We're still working with our GIS on getting the number of leaks. And then if we can scroll that way, I'll just keep going on this. Static pressure, and that's because higher pressure pipe creates a lot more damage, right? So if it's higher pressure, we try to get new pipe in the ground if it's higher pressure, because when it pops, it can create a lot of damage. And then lastly is the number of services. Oh, I'm sorry, there's one more, but number of services, the way we're looking at it is if a project affects 15 services, that's more of our customers that will benefit from this project. So it's not a data point that the more services there are, the more bang for the buck for the project. And then lastly, we try to coordinate with the city of San Carlos and city of Belmont on their paving program to get ahead of their paving. So that's why that's there. And then we add all those numbers up and try to look at it analytically and see what projects pop up to the top, and then move those up for recommendations for to move into the budget cycle.
What is system benefits? I understand the other things.
Yeah, so system benefits, there's transmission main, that means that it moves water from one side of the district to another, or moves water from a pump station up to a tank site, where there's not necessarily increase in fire protection, but it has overall system upgrades. And I know Brandon's on the line. If I'm misspeaking, Brandon, feel free to jump in, but I think that's what that one covers. We wanted a scoring one where it wasn't related to fire flow or location or age. It had overall benefits. So that's what now, but each one of these is defined in the report. So when you,
Okay.
when you open the report, there's a lot of, there will be a lot of text. So our customers, when they're looking at the capital program on the website, it'll have all the background on, and how the scoring takes place and so forth.
And if I thought about it, I probably would have included it, but there's an appendix in the full CIP. Goes through each of these ranking criteria and what falls within each score, so it's really clearly identified.
Right, like a 4 means this, a 3 means this,
Fantastic.
a 2, so it's not us just pulling.
Yeah,
numbers.
just subjective, right?
Yeah, we try to make
That's
it,
great.
we're engineers, we wanna be
Yeah.
non-subjective, right? So this then falls into the budget that, you know, the district budget and for capital program and so forth. So we're looking at revamping this a bit. There's a lot of repetition between the full spreadsheet and the report. When you look at the report, there's a lot of, you know, we are repeating a lot of stuff. So we're trying to reimagine how the report looks like. So when we come back in September, it'll probably be a little bit, not as long, so.
I have a couple of kind of bigger picture questions,
Sure.
like longer term. The first one is when, I know there was a point in time when the district did not do this, and I'm extremely grateful to have come after. There had been an assessment and a big list of projects. In terms of when that original list was generated, was there a goal for when those projects that were identified would be completed? And I know it's not like the money was falling from the sky, so obviously they couldn't all be done at once. But was this like a 15-year, a 25-year, like what was the sort of?
It's very difficult to, the number of projects is not finite, right? Like, we had
Got it.
73 projects or 93, I think, in 2015. It wasn't like, if we get that done, our district is golden.
You're right, okay.
It's always, so the way that water districts and utilities are, I wouldn't say ranked, but are measured in how well they're doing with their infrastructure is a rate of renewal of their water pipes or sewer pipes and so forth. So that's an analysis that gets done, or we do it for the district every couple of years, and we're due to do it after the CIP. And I think the last time we did it was for every piece of pipe, or we're renewing infrastructure once every 180 years or so. I can't quite remember, but it's pretty good because a lot of districts are renewing. You want to get that down to once every 100 years, but it's really difficult, right? Because you have to put money
Super hard.
into it. So a lot of districts have landed at once every 150 years,
Yeah.
or so. And we're right there. We're doing pretty good. But that's how you kind of measure how we're doing. And that's just for pipe. You know, we have tanks and pump stations, which are also in the mix.
Brandon has raised his hand.
Oh, Brandon, yes, sorry.
So I was just gonna follow up on the board member's question that on your rate of,
Correct, Brandon?
Your virtual hand.
Brandon, you're on.
am I here?
You're gonna get the floor.
You might have mistakenly just.
Yeah, he's just high fiving.
Right.
Brandon, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Brandon
Can you guys-
is my partner that actually does the capital program, and we work together on it, but he puts it together. So still a lot of work ahead. You know, we reached out to the cities. We didn't hear back in the last 2 weeks on their paving program, so that's why that's highlighted yellow. Some rankings still for some of the new projects, so we're working on that. And like I said, we're looking at reimagining the written report to make it a little bit more condensed.
Hello?
On an annual basis is, obviously, you're not going to, the hydraulic capacity, affected hydrants, like I know these things won't change. But leaks, I could imagine, year to year change. And so are the leaks and the projected costs updated annually?
The projected costs are the big thing that changes.
Yeah, okay.
So that gets updated whenever the CIP gets updated, but when we pull these projects into the budget, the most updated cost gets used, right? So even if in the CIP, it's a year old, we use the current cost. So that's where it gets updated. And hopefully if it's streamlined enough, we'll see if we can do this annually, if it makes sense. But really, I mean, you could see the number of volume of projects. If we knock out 2 or 3, the list doesn't, it doesn't usually get shorter. It stays about the same. So the last thing I want to leave you with is we don't have a shortage of projects. So, if you give whatever money you give to the design team or the engineering team, we have infrastructure projects to spend it on. And all of this, at the end of the day, for our customers and our ratepayers, is reinvesting in the infrastructure that they own, right? Like, we're putting money back into the upkeep of the system that they own. So that's the main message that we always want to make sure we get across to our customers, is this money is going back into the system. So.
Very good. Okay, so please keep in mind that this is a draft, but it's not that far off from the final.
Right.
For sure. Right. And to your point, Director Patel, is, when you talk about leaks, and you pointed out correctly, in the past, leaks were kind of the driving, and it was because this is a little bit more reactionary, and we wanted to be ahead of the curve as much as possible. So, but you could have an emergency and a line goes into a priority because of that. So these things happen. But any questions from the board on this?
I do have one
Yeah, please.
question. I love format.
I did say.
So thank you. But looking at it, I realized, so we've got tons of projects in 2015, because that's the first time that you guys, as a water district, put a capital improvement plan together. And then we don't have anything added till 2020. Was the idea that you wouldn't add things?
We were, no,
Like, what happened between?
yeah, that's a great question.
It's about it.
Yeah. We're done. What happened was we got busy doing the projects, right? So we have a finite staff on our side, we have a finite staff at the district side. So we got this massive list in 2015, and we said, how are we gonna pay for this? Right, so the management team and the district staff basically started working on finding a way to pay for it, increasing our rates, increasing our, getting a bond. We got, I think it was 2017, 2016, we got a COP. So we were really busy implementing, I guess is the best way to say it. So we got projects under our belt, we started getting stuff constructed, and then we started saying, okay, we got to look at this more on a consistent basis. So there was a period where we were sort of, okay, we got this massive list, what do we do with it? And getting back to what Director Patel was saying, but now we're more on a regular cycle. So, because honestly, between 2015 and 2017, there wasn't much being built, like we were trying to get the money and the designs in place and so forth, so.
Very good.
And,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I had a different comment, I'll wait until the end, so.
Yeah, that's about, go ahead.
So I'm just wondering why, it says NA in all of our prioritized projects.
Yeah, so, no, that's a great question. So those projects, if we scroll to the left, those are projects that are not pipeline projects. So the scorings are all, we gotta find a better way of formatting it, to be honest with you, but so if we look at, like the Dairy Lane Operations Center is one, right? Like, we can't really score that based on the scoring that we have for water mains. Folger is another one, tank projects, recoding projects. So, those are, all the ones that have NA. So I gotta find a better way of formatting it. So it's not that the data is not available, it's just that the ranking is designed more for water, or is designed for water main projects and not like buildings or tank projects. So we gotta
You
do
don't
better.
wanna keep those on the front burner, we want to keep them in front of us all the time.
I need to, I think, remove it or find a better way,
Yeah.
because it looks bad, you're absolutely right.
Question of how did things get prioritize over the non-prioritized things. We don't have sort of a system in place that.
No, that's a fact. So on the coating projects, on the tank rehabilitation projects, we rely on we hired a consultant to go and look at our facilities and say that you have 3 to 5 years useful life left for this tank. You have 6 to 10 years. And so we use that report to prioritize where it fell here.
Okay.
And so we have to do a better way of showing that on this spreadsheet, because we don't want it to be arbitrary as far as, okay, this moved up to the top. So.
And if you think about it, right, like we've got 95 miles of pipeline out there. That's the big amorphous, crazy existential threat of what's gonna go wrong with the 95 miles of buried pipeline. So that's where we really gotta assess based on what available data. And there's, there's software tools out there based on like crazy machine learning and whatnot that everyone is very skeptical of and some people love. But like, this is our version of that, of like taking all of that data and compiling it in a systematic way. When it's not a buried pipeline, we only have, 11 tanks and our pump stations and things that are much more visible, tangible, easier to assess what the condition is. So those, as Juven was saying, they get moved to the top based on what a much more known lifespan and urgency is, so.
But also the impact, like if we didn't have a tank versus one section of pipe, and I don't mean that those aren't important, it's important. But even if a piece of pipe were to blow out unexpectedly, fixing that isn't like
No.
Oh, yeah.
a tank that has a major problem, right? So,
It's not apples to apples comparison.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
as the pipeline.
yeah.
All right, very good.
Can I ask a
yeah.
budget question,
Please.
related to COP? Because just looking at this and getting a feel for what we have and then, what can be pay-go. It's clear to me, I think, that we can't just do all the rest of these pay-go. So when the original, and I don't know if anybody in this room was here when the first COP was done, but.
Both Louis and I.
Okay, great. So we can look at you. We can look at you
I
and
was
say,
here too,
great. What was the thought in terms of cadence? And I know it's not strictly a cadence question because it's all related to paying off that debt before we take on any more debt. But just in terms of being able to tackle some of these projects, obviously cash is the limiting item.
You guys were on the board. I could say, as an audience, it felt like it was very correctly, so what can we afford? That's what it felt like, right? Because,
That makes sense.
we'd never take on we had
That was
not,
the first time ever.
that was the first time that we had taken on debt, so there was a
Always
lot of
before that.
discussion
Yeah.
on, should we even do it
Do
or
it,
pay
yeah.
through rates? And
Yeah.
so the discussion has always been, what can we afford, right? What
Yeah,
can
that
the
makes
ratepayers
perfect sense.
afford? And
Yeah.
because we know the need is there, but at least that from my perspective, hearing it, that's what it felt like.
That was the biggest fear. It was the first time ever that we went through that, and it's also explained that many of the projects were being done in-house ourselves, instead of being contract now.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, we were spending $3 million a year on pipe, probably one every 300 years cycle.
Yeah. So, and the system, and then it's just like anything else, when you have newer people on the board coming in, all that, and then you start looking at the distribution system itself, and it is aging, we're asking for it, this is not gonna be an issue of if it's gonna be, when it's gonna happen, because we thought that this, and I think that we may have prevented a bunch of disasters, totally, so. We'll never know that, obviously, but.
Well, Louis, our leak rate has
Right,
decreased.
correct.
So,
Right, there are
we've got,
mechanisms.
we see that, and so, I mean, who knows where those leaks would have been, but,
Yeah.
I guess
Thank you.
from my perspective, the debt isn't necessarily a bad thing. At the time, our rates were so low, we couldn't afford a lot of pay-go.
Yeah,
So we had to start somewhere, we had to get everything, and so you defer by 30 years, the payment of that whole thing. But you're deferring by 30, you're paying off in 30 years of what is a 150-year asset.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get 100 years, more of life after the debt's been paid off. And so we get into this, where I start having a problem debt financing something for 30 years is when it's got a 10-year life.
Yeah,
And you're paying for
of
3
course,
rounds of it by the
that's
time,
right, That's right, I agree.
All right,
Thank you so much.
absolutely. Yes.
And I had one last comment, Louis, if I could, when I came on board, Matt, you said 3 million, the number that I went back and looked was 1 million.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, but for some reason I had
It was a
3.
million.
Yeah,
It
so
was a
it
million.
was, yeah,
I
and it
you know what?
was.
I was talking in
In today's money,
$2026.
3 million.
So in 2014, we came on board in 2011, 2012 or something, and it took a while for management, there was management change and so forth to get this. But we were spending $1 million a year on capital. And now we're spending 4 to 5 million, not, taking out the COPs and stuff like on Pago stuff. So we've 4x'd it in 10 years. And so I think we're on the right track. It really feels like we have a plan. We're on the right track, but I just, as far as kicking the can down the road, like you can imagine that we're so far behind with our capital spending.
We understand.
And I just wanted to add, like, from my understanding, yeah, we were spending $1 million a year, but it was all done in-house by our staff.
Yeah,
So by
that's-
doing it in-house, we were also deferring maintenance.
Yeah, that's
spending
a great
time.
point, yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
so we're on the right track. And then, I think a lot about long-term, how we're gonna pay for the next round, the future. We didn't have any history of going for grants, and so that's why I'm spending the time
Mhm.
focusing on that. So and we've built our rates and we'll continue to build our rates in a way that should support a lot more PAYGO, but also trying to find those alternative sources of funding where we can, so it's not entirely on rates.
And whenever we have a grant consultant, whenever a grant consultant comes up with, oh, we have this, this type of grant. We have 95 sheets of paper that we can then say, oh, here you go, like, oh, it's a skater or, whatever, it's a intertie, here you go, here's a sheet on interties. And so it's nice to have that, ready to go. So,
Building those processes and.
what was our over under with the time? I still got the next one too, so.
So a couple of two very quick comments to the GM. I heard you say if you are able to finish it by the July, but I'm gonna ask you, please don't rush on it. I'd rather have it correct than rushed. Because this is actually what we're all about in the end. We're going to. And the other thing that I wanted to ask is on the hydraulic capacity, Juven.
Yep.
I know that most of it is modeling, but if I remember correctly, when we were doing it, we did flow certain
Yes.
areas so that we can get those points of references.
It's a calibrated model and absolutely, when we set up the models, we flowed a lot of places to calibrate the model, right? And we found stuff that pipes were the wrong size or whatnot. And then for it to stay calibrated per American Water Works Association, we have to do a certain number of flow tests every 5 years. I think it's 5 or 7.
Right.
Brandon just texted me that his mic isn't working. He actually does the hydraulic modeling, so he could jump in.
So,
Is
for
my
the
mic
same
working?
information, when we say we test flow, we actually open a hydrant and measure, with a special instrument, measure the flow, the pressure, and the volume of water that comes out from usually a hydrant, because it's easier to flow. And then that's real, then exactly what you have.
And then we
And based on that, you don't have to flow everything,
Yeah.
but based on that, you can calculate friction losses and all of that stuff. But please
And then
go
we
ahead.
compare that to the model, right? So the model says you should have X. If we flow it and it's within 5%, then we say that the
Check,
model is
check.
calibrated at that point.
That's perfect.
And if it's not, we would go back and figure out why.
Yeah, great. All good?
Fantastic.
All right.
That's good information, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll move on to item 7B, which is to consider resolution 2026-18, accept and complete the Colgan, Lincoln, Newland, and Oakland, we've been hearing about this. Time,
Yeah.
being alone.
I could just keep on? Okay. Speaking of spending money, we spent a lot of money on a really good project, and the project is now complete. This was delayed, a bit on closing out because of the weather. The project was actually complete in October, September, October timeframe. We had to delay it to get warmer weather to slurry seal the road and stripe it. So that got done. There was a couple of punch list items that also got done. So now this is the last, and final, step by the board, which is to accept the project. So by accepting a project, that asset in the ground now becomes ours. So that then we can hand it off to financials and start depreciating it and all the fun stuff that needs to happen there. So with this closeout, what I like to point out is typically how did the project do financially? And so can we go to Allison 163 if you don't mind?
Can I just say, I love that you're giving me page numbers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, have it all. You don't like up and down, left and right?
No,
kind of
like,
stuff?
you're like,
Yeah.
you're the one with this, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, with the picture of me on, no, so at the bottom of this page is a summary of the change orders, and there's details further on, but I'll stop here on the summary page. And the project in total ended up with 3.85% change order. This was a heck of a project. If you recall, several months ago, I came in and said, if you looked at this financially, you'd say, oh, great project. It was fine. It was great, but it was tough. Our inspector had a really hard time out there with the contractor, and we had to almost call the police one time. And I don't, hopefully you remember that twice. Thank you. So it was challenging, but the project got installed. It's in service. We're going to send out a resident survey, which we do at the end of every one of our projects to see feedback from residents. We already got flowers from one of the residents. Not one with something else inside. So that's flowers. The reason I like to point out the change orders, this is a way to hold us accountable as your engineers, right? To say, hey, how are we doing on one of the metrics is change orders. Typically for underground construction in California, it's about 10% change orders. We average anywhere between 2 to 3%, and this 3.85% includes that very first line that says owner requested. So there's $30,000 or $31,000 that we as a district added to this project. So we usually take that out because that's stuff that we added. We wanted extra things in the project. So if you take that out, we're about, I think, a little bit over 2% change order for the project. So
That's great.
Came in really well financially, and the details are there. And if you want me to jump in on any of the change orders, or you've seen the change orders as they come through, this is just a summary, but it's, I don't want to take up too much time. So after, which I feel like I did. So after the board accepts this project, the next step is for us to file a notice of completion with the county. And what happens there is it kicks in a period of time where anybody that is owed money on this project has opportunity to come to the district and say, the contractor hasn't paid us. Please pay us before you release retention. What we do proactively is to contact every person every vendor and supplier that has put in a preliminary lien notice, has notified us that they've been on this job to make sure they've been paid, and they have all been paid. So we're already ahead of that. So with that, staff recommends accepting this project.
Any questions though?
Just a thank
Okay,
you for making this so clear, and I really appreciated the details on the change orders over time, because I wasn't here for most of it, but it made it very easy to understand the history. So thank you.
I'll just have one last point is that we are gonna also be doing a follow-up survey with all the residents.
Perfect.
Working on that.
So more flowers our way, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Were they addressed to anybody specifically?
Big
Yeah.
lots?
It's like-
So the funny thing is they actually arrived on my birthday while I was at Aqua. So everyone assumed they were birthday flowers, but then, I said, well, what does the card say? And it was from the neighbors we had met with. Oh,
It's very nice.
That's
very nice.
Really nice.
All right, very good. So this is a resolution, so do I hear a motion?
I move.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Covington. Second. By. Okay, go ahead.
Director Covington,
Yes.
Director Cotton,
Yes?
Director Patel,
Yes.
Vice President Zuka,
Yes.
President Bellin.
Yes. Excellent. All right, we'll move on to the next item. Just to consider another resolution. 2026-19, approving the fiscal year 2026-27 operating and capital budgets. Again, this is not the first time we're seeing this.
Not the first time. There have been some tweaks.
To the general manager and to our treasurer.
There have been some tweaks and then everything's been packaged into a nice little proper report with charts. So things can go
Yeah.
over changes.
So, we did one more scrape through the budget, just did some minor tweaks, checked for some adjusted some rounding stuff. So we saved the district another $122 just by looking at rounding stuff. But overall, when you look through the budget, you'll see an increase in the operating revenues of about 9% as compared to the current year. You'll see a decrease in non-operating revenues of about 20%. And that's mainly because we don't budget necessarily for one-time items, which is the bulk of those non-operating items. You'll see that for revenues in particular, of course, water commodity charges is the bulk, making up about 68% of our revenues, and fixed charges is another 23%. So overall, our operating budget is primarily funded through our water bills that we send to the residents. We do have about 5% that's generated by investment income. And then we have a little bit of property taxes, just some miscellaneous other revenues that helps fund our organization. As far as operating expenses, you'll see that they increased overall by 7.5%. And that you'll see in in a few categories. But that's
Could
all,
you
folks.
repeat that, please?
So overall 7.5% so it's 14% in salaries and benefits, primarily because of annual increases, as well as a 2% COLA. We've also programmed it was about a 15% increase in health insurance because we've just been seeing significant increases in premiums related to that. We've also seen increase in like unreimbursed retiree costs for health insurance. We do get reimbursed for those, but I like to budget for the full amount just so we've got some visibility on that. And then also we've had more board members claiming benefits, so that helped, that increased it a little bit as well. Other spending categories that increased this year were system surveys of about 26%. And that's just based on updated estimates primarily for the condition assessment survey. And then you'll see percentage wise, 61% change in training and travel, just because we were sending our folks to get more training this year. For expenditures overall, you'll see the biggest group of expenditures are related to purchased water. Makes sense. We're a water district. We have to get our water somewhere. So that's 38%. Fortunately, we recovered pretty much all of that through our rates. Salaries and benefits is about 22% of our budget. And overall, the expenditure or the revenues over expenditures, first of all, give our coverage, our debt service coverage ratio of 1.96, which is greater than 1.3, which is our required covenant. But then we add, when you consider all of that, we do add additional, let's see if we can get to that number here, $8.4 million that we can spend on capital projects. Now, with PAYGO funding, not necessarily debt financing. Now with that, we've already programmed $4.1 million in those capital projects. And so we'll have a residual of about 4.3 in our capital reserve by the end of the next fiscal year. Now, when we talk about debt finance projects, which of course right now is our largest category with our more recent debt issuance, you'll see that we're starting the year off with a high balance of about $32 million. But we do have about $10 million programmed in various capital projects that's supposed to be debt finance. So those are for those long-term projects that are going to last, 50, 70 years. Primarily, I believe the biggest one is the Dairy Lane project.
By far.
So, yeah, Dairy Lane Operations Center for about for the current year. It is the largest program is actually the Cove tanks replacement of about $4.8 million. But in future years, Dairy Lane is going to take a significant portion of those remaining funds. So, again, this is the second time you've seen the full budget. And then the finance committee has also seen this a third time back in April. And I would open it up to any questions, comments, observations at this time.
All right. Cool.
Quick question, Jay. Remember we had a conversation or some discussion about some cell tower removal? Are we gonna continue to get the lease revenue from that?
Money.
So we do have some amounts budgeted for that, but we did consider the one that's supposed to be removed. That is considered in the budget. That's going to be dropping. The lease revenue piece.
So the antennas are being removed from the tanks and they're gonna be set up in a temporary location. So the lease still stands.
Okay, so we're not,
So they're gonna.
So we're
come
not,
back at some
we're
point.
not yet canceling the leases. That is our leverage with the cell company to make sure they do what they need to do. But at this point, we are not ending those leases.
okay,
The antennas are physically moving, but they're still functioning.
and they're happily paying, I'm hoping, or no issues, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Happily is probably not the right word.
And how old is this lease? But this is,
They're about 25, 30-year leases,
Yeah.
depending on the site.
What year are we in?
Two of them, one's set to expire in August of this year and another one in the fall of 2027.
and that was the foresight at the time that we could ask them to remove their equipment and that lease? No.
This was as cell companies and cell technology was new and fancy and we were getting free money and it was wonderful. And so the leases are not as favorable as we would like them to be today, and they're not as favorable as they will be when we renegotiate them.
So this 168 that's in the summary, is that a conservative number or are we just?
So that's the number that we taken all our lease agreements in effect for the year. We projected it out for the full year of all the.
Okay, so this is the annual, so in the future, it could adjust.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do have all built-in escalations, so
Yeah.
we've been getting increased revenue.
Okay, that's it for me.
James, you mentioned that you increased the budget. Words that yet, but the training budget, you said you're gonna send a lot of people to training. What are we talking about? I mean, we're all in favor of training.
Yeah.
obviously. I was kind of curious that it made such an impact on the budget.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember, because I think rolled up, it includes things more than just straight training and travel. But it does include folks going to conferences. Historically, before I joined, it was only management that went to any conferences, so if you compare before and after, certainly costs have gone up. AWWA, the American Water Works Association Conference, this year is in Sacramento, so we're gonna try to send quite a few folks. Since it's not in SoCal, it's expensive to get done in SoCal, so.
And the other item that's included in that budget is actually the elections. So for whatever reason, historically, we've included that into that group, so.
Yeah.
So there's
That's a chunk.
a big chunk right there
Yeah.
that's
All right,
included in there.
okay, that explains it. Does that include also like certifications as well, in that part of that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Any more questions from the board? Okay, so this is the resolution, so I do need a motion. So moved. So we have a motion by Director Cotton and a second by Vice President Ruka.
Director Cotton,
Yes,
Vice President Zuka,
Yes.
Director Patel,
Yes.
Director Covington,
Yes.
President Felon.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on. Go along to item 8B. Consider resolution 2026-20, adopting a policy on customer bill adjustment for promptly returned leaks.
All right.
This is a good one.
Yeah, we'll start it off, and Allison, I'm sure will chime in. So for quite a while, we have had this practice. It's a common practice among, most districts. We shorthand call it our leak adjustment policy. But we figured we'd give it a more descriptive title here. And so what this does is when a customer has a leak and they are notified either by us directly or through the Water Watch portal, or, we're looking at, new portals in the future. But when they're notified, if they get back and talk to us and within 10 days, they fix that leak, they show us proof that it's been fixed. We will adjust their bill so that for that excess leak volume, they will pay just the straight SFPUC cost and not the additional. So we're still getting toll for what we've paid out for the water. But we're reducing that financial burden on them for something that was unexpected and out of their control if they're being a good actor. And it's capped at 100 units of water, so there's a little financial analysis of what that looks like in here. So it's capped at, for a resident, about $1,500 is what we would forgive. Looking at the last several months of data, on average, the leaks are about 38 units, which is, so it'll be more typically, 580, call it $600, a leak forgiveness. And then, on the non-residential, which we get very few requests for this from non-residential, but that's still in there and that's still capped, and that's on the order of $800 worth of forgiveness. So, this policy, we spent a lot of time developing it, working with, the staff who implement it to get their thoughts. And of course, Hanson and Bridget went through it carefully. So we think we put in some really good boundaries, that it's, appropriate and well documented and will be ensure consistency going forward. There is, a limitation. You only get one, forgiveness every 5 years, and not if you have a documented history of water waste and all these different components. So.
This, I didn't see it, but I think I brought it during the agenda review. Does this take into consideration what people are on, like extended vacation and leak happens during that time?
There was some language.
There is a provisions. Yeah, so if you are away, you must contact the district within 10 days and arrange for the water to be turned off. And then their leak must be repaired within 30 days after you return.
So you better have 30 good neighbors.
Yeah.
That report for you if you're not.
Well, or you get a phone call from us or your water watch that says you have a leak.
Yeah.
Then you just gotta be proactive and responsible.
And so when we do this, technically, there's hardly any management work from the district itself. This is all on them. They report it, they get their own plumber, they fix it within the stipulated time, and then they could qualify for this one time. Okay.
Yeah, they have to prove that the leak was fixed, not just, fudged some way. So, if they, the plumber's receipt or a new, toilet receipt or whatever, you can't just turn off your irrigation, then turn it back on.
And maybe this is a question for Allison, based on past couple of years' experience, how often do you think this is gonna come into play?
We get about 6 to 7 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that many?
Yes. And they're mostly residential. It's very rare that we get a non-residential.
Wow, and these are leaks that needs to be repaired by a plumber.
Yes, well, majority of them are actually irrigation.
That's exactly
And it's very common too that you'll see them get fixed And then the second leak will then arise after that because whoever fixed it didn't fix it properly.
Wow.
Yeah, well, especially in the hills, the irrigation systems, as the hills slide, you end up with a break.
Yeah.
And you fix one and you didn't realize that, 15 feet away, the same landslide actually happened to me, which is how,
Yeah, yeah.
how I know that this happens. So yeah, I think it's worse on the hilly than the flats for things like this.
Okay. So I was almost thinking that maybe some of them could be like a toilet leak, flushing leak.
Yeah, we definitely have the toilet leaks, the shower leaks, definitely the bathrooms, those things happen, but majority of them are irrigation.
That's a lot.
I have
Alright.
160 PSI at my house.
PRV.
Yeah,
I do, I have two.
yeah, too.
If one is not enough.
So it failed?
No, it's just that one gets you down to like 120 PSI, you need the second one to get you down to 80
By
PSI.
stages.
No, I mean, did one of them fail? That's why you had a leak or?
No, I mean, that was just the pressure was.
I'm
The
sorry. I thought you had a
irrigation
leak.
system was directly connected to when I bought the house a long time ago, it's directly connected to the hot side. And I had to install.
Watering a
That's a
roof.
lot of pressure.
I mean, when that thing went, it went.
That's almost dangerous.
It is almost.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's 120 PSI, so.
So yeah, go ahead.
One
please.
quick thing I noticed on the form itself, there's a typo. On the method of verification. That
Can you see that again?
verification's misspelled, and does it make sense?
Notification is misspelled.
Just missing them both.
Yeah.
places. There's a missing.
It makes sense to require maybe some photographs of evidence.
So we definitely require the resident to submit photographs. I mean, they submit the photographs of like the actual puddle in itself. Majority of the time that they are notified by us.
Okay.
Because they are signed up for Water Watch, or we can just, get an alert seeing the increase in the water uptake, and we're on that majority of the time for them. So we're the ones notifying them. So obviously we don't need proof that there was a leak for that.
No, but I mean, to show the repairs, like
Oh, we
at the
get-
bottom, it's.
They
submit
have to
copy of-
submit a picture. They can't get it without it. So like whether there's the receipt from Home Depot because they bought a new toilet or a new faucet of some sort, or we get the plumber's receipt, they all have a picture pretty much attached to them.
Okay, because it just says copy of receipts from repairs, doesn't say anything about photographs, so I don't know if
Well, that's how they get it to us. They send a picture of the receipt.
No, I'm saying the picture of the repair.
Oh, of the repair in itself.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that's been nitpicky?
I mean, I can see how it would be nitpicky. I think it would be kind of hard for us to see the like repair of an under pipe irrigation
Okay.
system. We do get them though. But I think that that's maybe something that we can look into for specific types of repairs. Things that are on the upside of the ground. So that might be something that we would consider for sure. I can pull up, like, definitely customers are wanting that, help. So they'll send us pictures of
Like,
everything.
I would think they'd be happy to comply with
Yes.
whatever proof we would need, but
Mhm.
I don't see anybody really trying to scam anything, but it just
I don't
helps
think
document it better.
it's hard to imagine somebody making up a fake receipt for a
Right.
plumber having come out, with a name of a plumber or with a phone number that, if we had to verify, we could
Right.
call and be like, did you do this work? I mean, the
Right.
frequency doesn't suggest.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about the paperwork involved, but just the actual physical repair, like some blown water heater,
Yeah,
before and after or something.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think about it in regards to like if it was a leaking toilet, like you're just sending me a picture of the same toilet.
Right.
Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's really hard
So I
to
think it would
know.
just be like
Really
very
hard to know.
specific based on
Yeah.
the repair itself.
And if they, faked a repair and the leak came back, they're not getting forgiveness again. No, they burned their one
5 years.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
All right,
that's great.
that's good.
very good.
Thank
Anything
you.
else? Okay, so this is indeed a resolution, so I do need a motion for this, please. Anyone?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Director Patel, second,
I'll second.
Director Hutton,
Director Patel,
Yes.
Director Cotton,
Yes.
Director Covington,
Yes.
Vice President Zuka,
Yes.
President Bella.
yes. Excellent. Right, so we'll move on to management reports. Financial report for the month ending May 31st. 2026, and the general manager and the treasurer are making faces.
Well, because we're just moving right along, that, you know,
They're
the.
taking the over under.
Not
Yeah.
even 8 o'clock.
I know.
Stop
right?
it, you guys.
They bet against it.
Yeah, come on, go.
Did it?
You know what, I'm gonna insist that we're get a prize if we keep the over.
Tell you what, we'll give you $100.
Actually, me collecting on that would be the rarity. you know?
Yes, it
We'll
would
give
be.
you
So, effective
Have some sleep.
May, by the end of May, we should be at about 92% of our target. We started the year off with the the first half of the year, we're a little bit behind on our water commodity charges based on usage, but we have actually made that up. And we're almost a full percent ahead of where we're supposed to be for our water usage. So this last month, of course, will be, will put us like basically right at budget or maybe a little bit over our budget, but we're trending right there exactly where we need to be. So overall, our water revenues or our operating revenues are at 91.3%. Between all the different categories, again, the commodity charges are right exactly where we need them to be. The overall revenues were at 93%, mainly because we have that one water system capacity charge that we collected back in January. And that's about it. And then also we've also had a significant amount of interest revenue coming in, which I did get you that answer to your question from last week, related to the interest. The average interest, which is about 3.1% over the past 11 months. So I looked at it from July through today, or not through today, but through the end of May, and we're at about 3.1% overall between money market funds, sweep account, and our treasuries. So operating expenditures were at 81%. So that's a little bit lower than our target of 92%. A lot of it is, our medical benefits were fully paid off not paid off, were fully paid in May because we have to pay them a month in advance. So for example, we paid our June benefits in May. And so you'll see that's like pretty much at 100%. Then salaries and wages, of course, we're trending right there. And then there's some minor adjustments that we make at year end to make sure that the right amounts are captured in the right period. Purchased water, we're at 83%. We did pay one of the most recent invoice the very beginning of June, so you won't see that until the next month. But we're looking to basically meet that budget almost dollar for dollar. And overall, everything's been trending at about what we had originally expected and what we've discussed in the past. Capital budget, so you'll see that we spent about $2.8 million in PAYGO for the current year. We've spent only $345,000 in debt financing in the current year, so there was some in the prior year that we did spend. And we have reimbursed ourselves some monies from that. So overall, in our capital budget, we've spent about 3.1. And then in our reserve analysis, you'll see we're still fully funded in our working capital. Our capital reserve is at 86%, which tends to fluctuate between, like 75 to 95% every month, depending on the timing of certain receipts. So that we're right where we need to be for that. And then we are already at 28% for our debt service reserve for the year. So we're good there. And that, my friends, is the overall picture as of May. So we're trending pretty much to be at almost 100% of each category for revenues and expenditures by the end of the year.
At the end of this month.
The end of this month, yes.
That 3.1%.
Huh?
What's your opinion on that? There's the 3.1%.
I think that's actually.
Are you happy?
Yeah, that does make me happy because we have to balance a couple things. We have to balance, so you'll see the market, especially the equity market's just flying off the handle, right? But we've got public funds and we're entrusted with public funds. So getting a return of about anywhere between 3 to 4% with using public funds, in my opinion, is actually, it's good and it helps, helps the district offset future rate revenues. But yeah, so I think the 3.1% is good. So, especially with treasuries are dropping at this point, and it's gonna be hard to get that return. At the beginning of the COVID period, I think some agencies were earning maybe 1.1% on an annual basis if they were lucky. So getting 3.5% over the past couple of years is perfect in my book, especially balancing the protection of public funds.
Very good. Chair Manager, anything to add to this or? We're good?
No.
Okay, directors, anybody?
I was just wondering how we're doing on the COP funds in terms of keeping within that arbitrage rate we have.
Yeah, so we have another 4 years. When we were discussing originally that was one of our big concerns about doing the full tranche this time, but because we already had a plan in place, we can fully spend the funds around 5 years. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 years. So if we can demonstrate that we've spent the majority of it within that 5 years, then we're not going to hit with that arbitrage penalty. The other piece to that is our yield on the bonds are about 4%, a little over 4%, and overall yield for our investments within that account is about 3.8% when you consider some of it's moved over to money market funds whose rates have been dropping. So we locked in a bunch of different investments that were a little over 4% at the very beginning, and then as they mature, now they're earning 3.5 to 3.8%. So overall, I think we're about 3.9, 3.8, 3.9 for that. So as long as we remain under that little over 4, then we're good.
Okay, that's great. It'd be great to keep track of that, I think, on a regular.
Yeah,
basis, or at least in the finance committee, maybe. We could-
Yeah, I could start providing a report on that. But that is something I keep track of. The auditors ask for that calculation every year too, so that's why I keep track of that, so.
Awesome.
Yeah. You're making a note of that, Chair Manager?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. For the finance committee, very good. All right, any other comments or questions from the? Okay, very good. We'll move on to the district engineer.
Yep, the first paragraph there is out of date. I turned in my report on Tuesday and we got the last punch list done by Thursday. I think it was like Thursday afternoon, Kat, I can't remember exactly. But we decided we're gonna accept this project this month, so that's why that's out of date. So we just did that earlier in the meeting. Really nothing on this first page to talk about. My report is there if you have any questions. All the projects are moving ahead, and then if there's no questions on the progress payment, which is page 217. The tank project is almost done. We're gonna be filling disinfecting and filling West Belmont next week. And Exborn, the rafters are almost done replacing the rafters. If you remember, they were really corroded and we have to replace it, so.
Right in time for the summer.
Yep. So there's some pictures in there, and if you have any questions, I can answer.
I'm glad the birds weren't bothered.
No, it's as far as I know, and again, I think Brandon mentioned, I think it might be our speakers, but I don't think there were protected birds under, but they were just birds, so we do our best to protect them, so.
All good.
We had some fun nest in the pipe that connects our 2 tanks. Like that we can't, that's what literally like runs the whole plant.
Oh my God.
We thought, we have a ton of migratory birds. It's like-
You had to wait for them to hatch and leave.
No, we found out it was a pigeon, so we.
I think we could have,
Lucked out.
I think we could have moved these if.
No, we didn't flush it out. We just, gave it its moving papers.
You can have people come and.
I know. We were scared, man.
Oh,
Actually, well,
thank you for the pictures in here as well. Really nice to get a sense of it.
Yeah.
They're good ones.
It's a lot of manual work. Yes, very good. All right, any questions for Jubin? Comments or, okay, very good. Jubin, thank you very much. Yeah. Sure tells a story.
Not all of them.
No, please, share.
I was just looking at the spot priming on the tank, because we were talking about that earlier.
Okay,
I think.
Um,
Sure.
No, the cost.
It looks
Oh,
more like
sorry.
areas that were sanded as opposed to primed, but I wasn't gonna have a bit about it.
There, page 228, there is areas that were corroded, the entire tank was primed. But some of it got a secondary prime, initial primer and then the whole tank got primed, so it's just, there's some thicknesses going on there.
all right. So this will be a better job than what we had. Right?
Yeah, well, it'll definitely be, I don't think it's gonna be great. Perfectly looking, but it'll do its job, it'll definitely be better what we have.
There you go. That's-
Yeah,
that's here.
But if we're comparing it, I mean, if we're comparing it to like a wall painting or something, it's a different. Luckily, no one sees this, as long as it's doing its job of protecting
I
the
was
steel.
not looking for pretty.
Then we're good,
It's
yeah.
for durability.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be better. Yeah.
Excellent, very good, like to hear that.
High bar too.
Yeah. Rather like that low bar, high bar.
Can I just ask one more question on this?
Yeah, please.
So just because we've had earthquakes recently in Venezuela, big one, and I'm looking at this anchor nut on this page, which looks so tiny. Can you remind me, we did seismic review on all of these tanks, right?
Yep, and then the code also changes every time we have an earthquake, and so we just don't do one and put it on the shelf every probably 10 to 15 years. We do it again, just with the new codes. And yes, and we do have seismic issues with our tanks, like the Coben is being replaced because of seismic issues. Hallmark also has seismic concerns, and so we try to control that seismicity damage. Great, I'm just gonna keep going so we can get to our time limit. Let me just show you on my PowerPoint I have.
I think his overrun was like 807 or something.
I know, but it's based on weight, so we control it operationally. So I just want to make sure the board understands that even if we have a seismic concern in a tank, we try to control it so it doesn't create damage, so we reduce the water in the tank.
Yeah.
So the weight is less and so it doesn't damage, but that impacts storage, but that way it doesn't fail in an earthquake.
Thank you, that was actually very informative and I appreciate it.
Yeah. And this looks like was a very hard nut to crack, huh?
It's a very staged photo. I actually didn't like that one when I saw it.
But it looks very.
As a protective, I'm always about making sure we don't put stuff in there that's safety related, and
Yeah,
they're not wearing gloves, which is
Yeah,
another
I
thing.
know. We
Anyway,
could tell it was safe. I see no flames, so.
moving on, yeah. Let's not focus on that too much.
Very good. All right. Enough of Jubin.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and I'll start
Please.
my report.
There.
So my report was filled with lots of pictures this month. You can see that our administrative staff put on a presentation for all employees for the billing process, so that the gentlemen, when they're out in the fields, they're able to speak in regards to how our billing process works. It was a great presentation done by all four of them, so I was very, very proud and to see that. Today, I made a presentation to our staff regarding company nurse, which I spoke of last month, which I'm very excited about. I've used it in 2 different other agencies, so it's a seamless process for workers' comp, so that we're trained on that. I also gave them the presentation of AB 2561, so that they can kind of see what recruitments look like for them. And then we have staff picture day. And here's a
Alright.
couple of pictures that you can see. It went really well. Staff dressed how I requested. Um, They were not scared at all of me. But you can actually see all of our staff pictures online now. They are all there and it looks nice to see everybody uniformed. So I'm very happy with that. I had my monthly meeting with the Employee Association. This one was requested specifically by the employees because this will be the first time that these two specific employees will be sitting at a negotiations table. So they wanted to know what it looked like, what to expect, what they could and could not talk about. So I provided them with all of the side letters and MOUs and things like that. So they're all pretty much prepared. We'll have probably another meeting or two ahead of time so that they can just kind of understand what it really looks like. And then I submitted our district transparency recertification. So that was, thank you for sending me what I needed. Director Cotton and Director Patel, we were able to get that going. And yeah, records. I thought we were done talking about this. Nope. It turns out that there were hidden records in a random room up in the yard. So when I went to go check on the records, I said, oh, my boxes had babies. Where did all these come from? And
I'm sorry.
Superintendent Anderson said, sorry. And I said, okay.
What year?
Yeah, has anything interesting?
There majority of them right now that I have gone through are maps.
Oh.
So it's.
The engineer and
I guess. I'm like rolling my eyes and he's like, so right now it's just kind of organizing those. Those definitely are things that will not be destroyed. So just kind of organizing those within, you know, whatever boundary it might be or, you know, tank site it might be. So just kind of looking through that. There are the random, you know, papers in there that are not maps. So those are being put away as needed.
We'll make sure, we don't think they're new ones, we think they're already digitized, so.
Okay.
Yes, so
I
that's about
kind
it.
of missed your fines and the boxes.
Oh, I'll give you some pictures of the map. You're like, Juke, what's this?
I'm missing a box, so I've been looking,
Yeah.
maybe it's there.
Oh,
so.
it very well could be. If you tell me what is
Well,
in it.
The
So,
staff picture, is that everybody?
say that again?
A staff picture? Is that
Staff
everybody?
picture, yes, that's everybody, except for Jonathan
Jonathan, I
Anderson.
was gonna say, I don't see Jonathan.
So he was in, so I was very grateful to Jonathan. So the picture day happened to be on the rodeo day.
Ah.
And we found out about the rodeo after pictures were already scheduled. So he was beyond helpful. He went straight to San Jose to get his name in and do one thing.
Competition.
Yeah.
Thank you, competition. And he drove all the way back to make it in time for the second round of group photos, which is all of the operations guys at the yard in uniform. And then he was able to take his headshot. So he was there for all of 10 minutes and then he drove all the way back to San Jose.
Wow.
So we'll Photoshop them in
We
there.
got third place. We got third place.
Very good.
Wow.
All right.
And the photos that we had done, those will come directly back to you
Yes.
and you'll be all set.
Yes, they will come directly
Thank
to
you.
me. And then I believe you guys get 25 and I will send them back to you and you guys can pick which one you want. Yes, don't forget to book it.
And then we can get everyone on the wall again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I noticed it.
Oh, shame.
That's why we're not on it.
Thanks. All right, good. Anything else
That is it.
for the admin? Any questions for Allison? Anybody? Very good. Operations manager, Sarah, you've been with us for a year already.
August 4th, here.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right. Sarah,
Yes, so folder drive, we're working on we got some scopes from the, from BKF to go ahead and design the specifications for some stormwater improvements. And from our electrical engineer to design the electrical, just for the little amount of work that we need to do to move the trailers from the dairy lane. Move them over there, hook them up to the electrical, hook up our new electrical generator that we actually just received. 2
Yes.
weeks ago.
Backup, there'll be a backup generator.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's happening. That's about all that's happening at Folger, but lots of stuff is happening at Dairy Lane. We paid our planning fee application of almost $90,000. Just as a comparison, I think the planning fees for Folger were under 30. And it's,
To the city, right?
yeah. It's, it's not that different of it. It's a bigger project, but not that different. And the main reason why is because they are short-staffed. They don't have the staff to do it in-house. So,
Oh, so they're farming it out?
yeah.
Both public works review and community development review.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, our planning director is retiring and maybe that has, something to do with not having the.
Yeah, and that was our
for.
explanation is that they don't have enough hands. Carlos is retiring, there's transition, there's a number of projects going on in the city. And the same with public works, they have hired new staff, new engineers, but many of them are very green still, and so they don't have the expertise, so they're that, public works work is going out to RGA and community development is going out to Good City Company. So it'll be different working with the consultants, but we'll figure it out.
May have to discuss some new water fees for the city.
Why not?
Yeah.
Guess what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're working with them to also understand what the fees will be for the construction and
Yeah.
building, impact fees and things like that. But we are moving on with our consultants and our latest schedule estimates that we'll be ready for submitting the construction and building permits in November. And hopefully bidding the project early in the spring next year, March 2027. Hopefully issuing the notice to proceed by July and then constructing between August 27 and December 2028. So our next steps for Dairy Lane are to develop and to conduct a project outreach, and to work with the city and going to the planning commission and the city council and things like that to get the planning permit through and approved. Nolan
So,
Camp.
The construction itself is forecasted to be, what, about 4 months?
18.
Yeah. 4 months.
August 2027 to December 2028.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. That makes more sense, yeah. All right.
And our consultants who were working on the cost estimates, we had two different, we had TBD, which is a consulting firm, submit cost estimates, and then OCMIs, who's our, construction manager, design, helping us with design management and stuff like that. They've got their two different estimates, and at first they came in really far apart, but they've worked together and reconciled, and now their cost estimates are much closer to each other and have been incorporated, into the CIP budget. So that's good news. The subsurface investigation by Romick, the final engineering report came back from that. And basically, the foundation, it's going to be geotechnically safe for construction if the design and foundation recommendations are followed. And basically, they're going to be sitting on a what's called a thick concrete mat foundation. So floating concrete surfboard kind of foundation for the new office building. And then the existing warehouse will use more traditional, just deepened foundations, deepened traditional footings for foundations. So it's about all on dairy, kind of a lot. The Exborn tank tree sites, Victor and I met with an arborist in early June just to discuss options for planting the 3 remaining trees that are required on site. We've received proposals from that company with various species options that could work, for the space and the constraints. There are a couple we're still discussing internally, what and how we're going to present that to primarily the next door neighbor. And I also met with the other neighbor, the one that was supposed to come to the board meeting and didn't, but I met with her at her house just to go and explain to her, where we were with the project, what our plans were, let her know that kind of she had her opportunity to come to the board and
Yes,
that we're not gonna be agendizing it,
We did
again.
make room on the agenda specifically, yeah.
Yeah. She just wants to be involved. She asked that we, give her a heads up when we have, some options for trees to consider. I didn't promise anything. I just came back and, so however, I'm directed to talk with her, I will, or not. So there's only a couple of trees really that we're looking at. One
But the
is-
meeting and the talk you had with her when, okay.
It was okay enough. I don't think she wasn't gonna be happy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, those things do happen, yeah.
But, it was
Yeah, it is what it
cordial
is.
and, yeah.
Yeah,
So she hasn't sent any emails since then, right? That was my goal.
Not bullshit, well done.
so it worked.
Yeah. So hopefully the trees would plant, maybe a madrone, maybe a deodar cedar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but
Theodora.
deodar cedar. Yeah, we planted a couple of those on site already, but.
Yeah, it's the locations we've got to work out.
Yeah,
I mean, those are nice, they fill out the space a bit more than it.
yeah.
Depending.
There's also some cons because it's closer to the neighbor and.
Okay.
But
It's just a very complicated site.
yeah. In discussion. On the trees, let's see. I won't speak for Kat, but if you would like to talk about the RRA, that is on here that. Our general manager did self-certify the risk and resilience assessment for the district's water system. We'll be coming back to talk to you all a little bit more about that, but overall, most of the risks evaluated came back as relatively low. There were a few exceptions and we'll be coming to you to talk about those in a closed session, just through the sensitivity of what was there. Nothing surprising.
You're not gonna be talking about the USA location request? We used to be talking about those a lot.
Brenda
I'm
was
just
always
kidding.
really proud of those.
We did 183.
I know.
I know,
USA
which is down, which is
A little
low
bit.
comparison, yeah,
Yeah, but look,
but.
but look how many
I would
valves
just-
we turned.
Yeah. All right.
We only had 1 week, really, so that's good. And let's see, yeah, so I'll just go ahead and talk about the summary of the hydrologic conditions report for May. The cumulative rainfall up at Hetch Hetchy was down 30 inches, 89% of our usual median to date. You can see the bar graph there, for water year 2026 were, for May, below the historic median there. Most of the snow melt, went ahead and melted during the month of May. And they were overflowing at Hetch Hetchy, which is expected to taper off and be pretty much finished by June.
Yeah.
All-
We're full.
Yeah, Hetch Hetchy is at 100% capacity, as are all of the upcountry reservoirs for the Tuolumne storage system. So yeah, so the San Joaquin pipeline deliveries were also increased just to, keep up with regional demand and also manage all of that runoff. The local reservoirs are a little lower at 71% capacity. Obviously, we don't have the snow melt to add to them, so that tracks. And I added this second US drought monitor. It's a class change map. So I thought that was fairly interesting. It shows, not just the current drought monitor in the top image, but in the bottom image, it shows you, what's changed in the last month. And this webpage is really cool. You can change it if you want to look at a 4-week span or, a year ago, whatever time frame you want to look at. But looks like California, there wasn't much change in the overall drought class in the last month. We actually improved in a little area and just one little area up north where there was a minor degradation. And then on the last page, we have today's significant fire potential map showing mostly low to little to low risk for fire danger in our state.
And this was as of today.
Wow.
All right.
It's forecasted, so when I went to do the report earlier this week, you
Oh, you went to-
you could
You
look
went
at.
ahead a few days ahead,
Yeah, I could have put Fridays on here, but
forecasted, yeah.
interesting to have today's on there.
Today is fine.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent, very good. Good information. All right. Any questions for the operations manager, please? Mr. Khan?
You know the topic. If we circle back with our friends.
At the school.
Yes.
On stormwater, we are. Well. Yes, I'll be responding tomorrow. It's not a straightforward answer, but, so there, we have been emailed again by the school next to Folger, the elementary school, they're on Notre Dame, about their stormwater issues. If you recall, there was a public comment from Mike Allen on it, and the board member, I guess, spoke with.
Yeah, somebody from
Director
the
Cotton.
school board,
It's-
definitely.
It's a challenging situation because we have met with them multiple times and we have discussed it and provided, our support. They're just not satisfied with it. So it's ongoing and Julie's office is supporting it and will be continuing.
Do they
So
know what they want themselves?
my understanding and impression is they really want us to invest a lot of work on their site. Which we,
You would like that too, on our side?
I mean, it would be great if they would, it's not our site. Come do all the work.
Good with that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we like a lot of things in life, but
we're working through actual obligations and, gonna work on explaining that and,
I appreciate you stepping into that
yeah. no.
breach. I don't, this board member, you said we have connections through other Belmont city agencies. And I keep saying, let the folks at the district handle this. I'm not your point for this. So she's been told, the school district individual's been told, and so I'm just parking it there.
Yeah, it is frustrating because they're saying that we are not engaging in a meaningful way. When we have had several meetings, including on-site meetings, and we've helped them actually get a part that they identified. We actually coordinated with the city. And the city had the part that they weren't going to use, and the city provided it to the school free of charge. And we said, this is your site, you do what you want, but we have identified the part that you, or helped you find the part that you identified. So the characterization that we're not helpful and engaging in a meaningful way is, I very much disagree with. But we'll keep talking to
I
them.
appreciate it.
so the next step is there a next step or?
Well,
If they
we'll keep
come,
talking
we'll
and,
talk.
we'll have conversations with Julie's office on how to really help them understand what our obligations
Good.
are and are not.
And hopefully they do understand that it's not our money
Mhm.
either, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so thank you, Sarah, and we'll move on to the general manager.
Okay, so I have a few things on here. You'll notice that we are now fully using Civic Plus. It was used to develop the packet and then publish the packet, so our website has changed. We haven't migrated the old agendas into the new system, so we're gonna work on doing that. Once that's done, that kind of extra bit at the top of the webpage that links to the, kind of old school archives with just a list of links that will go away. So but as we're doing this, if there's anything you notice that you wanna change or update or have thoughts on, let us know, cause you know, we're trying to tweak it and dial it in. But so far, it's been a very, very helpful system.
I have to wait till it's a shorter packet to give my feedback. Cause the length of this one, I actually thought my browser was broken, so I like
Yeah.
went to
Yeah.
another browser and it wasn't even, like, it didn't even show that anything was happening. Like, I don't mind that it's like, dude,
Yeah,
but
I
I was
had
like,
the same problem compiling the packet.
ah.
Get to 85% and then would stall out. And I reached out to the customer support, which was very helpful. And they said, you just need to be patient. You're making too big of a packet. But I blame
You're welcome.
Cuban because it had all the CIP.
Yeah.
There you go. That was it was 115 pages of detailed CIP
Yeah, sorry.
drawing. So we'll work on file size.
How many pages?
114.
But that's not
That's what. But
extraordinary.
they're good quality. So
Yeah.
we'll work on refining the file size.
Shorter words.
Yes.
Lower quality.
Yeah, but otherwise.
But otherwise, it was really.
But their customer service was really helpful,
That's great.
responsive, and they have a chat bot that like basically it's an AI chat bot, but you ask questions, and if you don't get your answer fully by the third kind of question or modification, they automatically open a ticket and then you get a real person and it's good.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
Yes.
great.
It was.
Okay,
I think everyone's aware that the IT provider transition has happened. We're in.
It's happening.
Said happened.
It's happening.
Oh.
Yeah. We're tense. And it's going to be a fun and painless process.
I've got more emails on that transition than I do spam in that account.
Yeah.
I'm saying something.
just to let you know that they heard about it even in Rome, Italy, they heard about it. Yeah, didn't bring the Pope into this, did you? I whispered in his ear.
Special blessing on
Yeah.
it.
Holy mackerel, all those.
Well, and
You feel like you want to respond, you go, maybe not.
there are more emails that the entire board weren't copied on, and the fewer people that are copied on an email, the more interesting the emails get. So,
Very true.
Yeah.
We are sorry.
It's a
We're
process.
sorry. You should not be having to endure that, but
it's going to be so great when the transition's done.
So to council, who are very good at not violating the Brown Act, right?
It's all good.
Good.
As long as you don't hit reply all,
Yeah.
we're fine.
Please, okay, go ahead.
So earlier this month, I actually was able to present with Tom Schmegel and Nagin Nashuri Voska to the full kind of department of emergency management at the county.
Sure.
It was really wonderful. Like we've been talking with, individuals here and there through different processes and we've really gotten their attention. So we were able to they have bi-weekly, all hands, meetings. So we had a full hour with them. So we were able to, present and explain, who Bosca is, what their role is, how water systems work here on the peninsula and then obviously beyond, but focused, on San Mateo County, kind of the range of types of agencies and governance and size and resources and how they vary, and then how we're almost entirely dependent on the regional water system and even the ones that have a little bit of diversity supply. When you look at our county specifically,
Correct.
they're not independent at all of the regional water system. So it was really great that Fosca, as part of their strategy 2050, we've had discussions as water managers and we've identified, some improvements to, emergency planning that can be done. Some that is great to engage with the county on. They were super receptive. They asked really good questions. And so I think we all, on both sides have some really good ideas of things to run with. The next step is the director is going to come and present at a Bosca Water Management rep meeting. And then we'll keep it all going. So it was really productive.
What's the name of the director?
Shruti Depatkar. I'm probably mispronouncing her name a little bit. But
Yes. Okay. Next.
there's that. Also earlier this week on Tuesday, Drew Bost and I went to city council and gave kind of a courtesy presentation on the urban water management plan. That will be coming to you for full public hearing and adoption next month, but this was, kind of a courtesy to let them all know that, this is going on, obviously it affects the city, the news is good, everyone's welcome to come to our public hearing. So that went very well. I believe I did not finish my sentence, but that's what it was. And I think everything else is not quite as worth highlighting, but if there's any questions on anything else, looking at them.
Good. So you got good response at the council meeting in Belmont?
Yeah, a couple of good questions. Always questions on the Bay Delta plan and what that means. It's always
Still there.
understanding,
Of course.
so.
Well, based on because, from the city side, from the city municipality side, Palo Alto was pushing, obviously. And so other cities will hear Palo Alto and they're like, are we heading the right direction? Should we change? Should we, whatever. So. All right, very good. Okay, anything else? Any questions or comments from the board? Doug, director's report. I'll start from my left today. Dr. Collington, anything?
Yes, actually, so this month I attended the financial leadership training for the California Assessment Districts Association. So I get a certificate of it.
Oh, right.
It was actually really good, but I wanted to congratulate staff and this district because I thought it was good content, it went over the fiduciary responsibilities of the board, what to expect in terms of a planning calendar, budgeting, the sorts of things directors should be concerned about, and then basic information about the presentation of financial statements for a public agency. And I was looking for something that I could take back and say, oh, we should be doing this, but I felt really well prepared and not surprised by anything in that. And I don't think it's because I do have background in the private sector in that role. I really think it's because of all of the work that Kat and James do in presenting information on a regular basis. And last year's audit process was really informative. So I'm very pleased to say, I think, the staff is doing a good job and the board is doing getting the right information it needs to provide the oversight required. So that's my 2 cents.
Excellent.
And I did attend the election information session also. I will be running for election. I cannot follow Matt's advice because I will be 3,000 miles away in Florida on July 13th.
Just don't wait till August 5th.
But I do have an appointment in July, and they let you fill out paperwork in advance, which is something, so I will be doing.
Very good.
And that's it.
All right. Good. Vice President Zuka.
Something to report, I got invited up to Sacramento by our assembly person, Diane Pappin. I coordinated with Kat on this one. I got a call at 4 p.m. on Monday, and it was short notice, and I'm thinking she's gonna ask me, oh God, it's gonna be next week. No, it's 9 a.m. Tuesday. She had a cancellation on someone that was gonna go up and do testimony, so it was on her data center bill, and about sort of disclosure of water use. So I was there in my capacity as a board member for Mid-Pen, and went up, spent all day in Sacramento for a full on 2 minutes of testimony, to then get cut off by Josh Becker because I was taking too long. Because it was the Senate subcommittee on natural resources, but it ended up passing to nothing, because everybody they knew they had the votes, so they needed a chair and someone to make a motion. Everybody else just sort of left. But that was good.
The productive too many.
Yeah, carried today. Based on my testimony. Not all the legwork that Diane and her staff have done. So I sent some pictures and I've got a video to Kat of and then of me, on
Fantastic,
TV.
because we need to watch it.
Yeah, if you want, I'll download the video, and it's available on the WIC website, so yeah, it was fun. You know, just the relationship on the water side, and their chief of staff now knows that she can call. Any questions that come up, as technical resource, if she needs to find other experts, I told her I can put her in contact with people that I know, depending on what kind of thing she's looking for. But the best part of the day, this is the part that I told Kat was hilarious, I'm like, so what did you, like, you call at 4 o'clock, what were you gonna do if I wasn't available? And they're like, oh, we had Aaron Brockovich lined up, but we really wanted you instead. No joke, that was what they said, and I thought they were kidding.
Yeah.
They were not kidding,
What?
because Aaron Brockovich is paying attention to this, and this is an issue that she's passionate about. But, you know, her activism comes with a certain amount of baggage as well.
Right.
And so I represented sort of small district, boots on the ground, local government,
Yeah.
as opposed to, you know, activism. So my claim to fame now is I was preferred over Aaron Brockovich.
There you go. There you go.
I thought this was good. Wonder what.
I know, that's literally the truth, that's the truth.
I thought he was gonna start with, what's her name? Julia Roberts, yeah.
Yeah, no.
On the next movie.
My claim to fame is they wanted me to speak instead of her.
Yeah. Very good.
That's my director.
No one's ever gonna believe you though.
Wow. That's not lame. You met someone famous.
He's no Aaron Brockovich, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Anywho, that's it.
all right, cool. Moving right along. That's a copy, please.
Let's see, so I attended the Harbor Industrial meeting, was it 2 weeks ago? And we got kind of another depressing update on, commercial real estate in the corridor here. Really, the only solution to this, we asked the question, and it's basically time. Is really gonna solve this, but in the meantime, there's going to be blood all over the place when this is all kind of washed out. But it's always interesting to see where, you know, this patch of land is going in terms of occupancy and what's happening in our district as well. I also was able to attend the overnight trip up to Hetch Hetchy. And I can vouch for your photo. The spillways were full. I got some beautiful pictures. Very, very informative, incredibly interesting. And when you get a chance to go, please do. There's just an unbelievable amount of infrastructure that you would never pay attention to as you were driving around this part of the state. Obviously, you know, the route they go. You know, we're familiar with the Water Temple and the Crystal Springs Dam, but the Sonols Education Center is going to be opening soon. It's an amazing facility that will be really beneficial, I think, once they get it done in about a month. It'll be really impressive to see. I hope they really get a lot of people coming in. And I think, to me, honestly, one of the most amazing things was the Tesla purification facility, and just
Sonol.
in Sonol. Yeah, it's really an impressive. Again, you just see all these pipes and things, but when you start getting into the meat of what it is and what it does and how essential it is, it's really impressive. And then, of course, getting up, we stopped at Moccasin and then got up to the dam. And was just a beautiful weekend. It was quite warm, but just really impressive. Going into the dam itself, we went down about 85 feet inside the dam, and I think the guy that they brought to walk us through made sure within our first steps of going inside said, all dams leak, all dams leak. You don't have to panic when you get in here, all dams leak. And I'm thinking, why is he saying this over and over and over? And before long, we're walking through a lot of water, and you know, it's coming through cracks and pipes and stuff, and there's 100+ year old infrastructure here you're looking at, and it's astounding. I was making sure Steve Ritchie was able to get up and down those stairs, and
Did he go all the way down?
he did, and he almost got left behind, and I said, where's our guy? And I went back and got
Kind
him.
of slower,
And
yeah.
he stopped, he wasn't doing too great coming through, but he managed to get back, but. It was great, cause I got some just one-on-one time chatting with him, of course, surrounded by this incredible thing we are in the middle of, and. Again, it's extremely educational, I highly encourage your opportunity to go, it's a full 48 hours, we were all. Exhausted coming home, I think the heat had a lot to do with it as well, but, extremely informative, Allison and Steve Ritchie are. What they know is just amazing, and I actually found a YouTube video that was shot about, I think it was 17 years ago. They're saying, doing this tour, and I didn't know they've been going on that long,
Yeah.
and, you know, they're going through a lot of this same stuff, and, again, it's really, really impressive.
And the dam was leaking then too, so.
I believe it, yeah, I mean, so I'll take their word for it, but I mean, he was perfectly calm walking us through this stuff, but. You know, we got to walk out onto the platform that's on the spillway and, you know, duck under this massive
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's water, water dripping here and there. And, I mean, it's like, this is natural. And, like, okay, they built gutters in here apparently for a reason, because they are taking the water through there, but, yeah, it was just really impressive. And then, of course, what was it yesterday? Somebody went over one of the falls and it was, that was taking a picture or something.
That little bit further.
Yeah, it's a long way down, 685 feet, I think this
Wow.
person went.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was bad, that was, but, yeah, the reservoir looked fantastic, and the waterfall was in full bloom, and, so we had a great day.
So the real question is, how many bottles of wine did Steve Ritchie buy for dinner?
We got 6, I brought 1, and there was somebody else that had 1, and I think we had 2 left over by the time we got back home.
How many people were on the tour?
So there was 12 guys in the bunkhouse.
The consumption of wine.
No, I
Just the engineering mind. Okay.
For a bottle.
The class or maybe.
He's trying to figure out whether you're all alcoholic.
No, it was actually quite fun. So there were 3 ladies and 12 gentlemen.
Wow.
And then for dinner, 4 attorneys that were intern attorneys for the SFPUC joined us, and then they joined us on the next day's walking tour inside the dam. Really fun group, very interesting. Again, it's always fascinating to hang out with like-minded water nerds and.
It's true, I'm a firm believer that anybody is in the water business, whether you are in maintenance, distribution, the political side, the legal side, if you're associated with water, you should, because once you talk about it, you can imagine it where the water, what you're talking about truly, and if you don't see it, it's very, very hard to imagine the complexity of the system.
Oh, and that's the key word I kept coming back to over and over, is the complexity. And of course, we got into the deep weeds on the Raker Act and everything, and just how this thing came to be. And
how it developed, because,
Yeah.
we have to remember that it came in from just gravity feed,
yeah,
only simple thing like that, into what happened in between, through the years, so.
and I didn't realize San Joaquin and what was the other one, Modesto, no, Turlock and Modesto have senior rights over SOs. And again, you get into all the politics of this and who has ownership of what, and then the whole water bank concept. So my head was ready to explode.
Yeah.
But I needed a glass of wine. It's a lot. It's a lot of detail, like 15 million pages of what I tore on. But again, I'm glad they do this, because people have no clue when they drive around and see this kind of stuff, what's involved, and appreciate the beautiful resource we have.
Very good. Excellent.
And I also was on the training for Joanne, and I am running in November for the district, so look forward to getting my paperwork done as well.
And August 5th is the.
July 13th. for
Opens
August.
July 13th.
July 15th, August 7th.
Okay, so I have an appointment on the 14th.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, best of luck. Okay, Director Patel.
Similar, I attended the election training and I will also be running. I'm actually coming back from vacation with leaving my parents on vacation in Bodega Bay to come back on the 12th so that I can make my 8:30 appointment on the 13th. There you go, and then I'll drive back up to be on vacation with them, so.
I'm not gonna fly back from Florida.
I just. No, you're good, you're good. I don't have an Aaron Brockovich story. I do have a story that we were on vacation in San Diego and at Balboa Park, there are two very large water tanks that have been repurposed into, they're actually community centers. And we went to one of them and I have to say that it gave me a really much better feel for, I mean, they've left the rafters up. It's not like they took all that stuff down. So it was actually quite interesting to me to get a better sense because I haven't been in ours. I've seen them from the outside, but it was interesting to be inside of one.
Very good.
And I made my whole family listen to how interesting.
This is the way.
So I too attended the HIM meeting. And it was the last meeting of the year, right, for
One, September.
no, I mean, but for the summer, and then
Yeah.
the September is the New Year start.
Exactly.
And I guess that's gonna be Mello's last meeting, right?
Last for the baseball,
Yeah.
then
Are they thinking of replacing him or somebody, they're gonna merge his position with somebody else?
I thought he's being replaced, but I don't know if they have a.
Oh, yeah, no, they have named formerly the assistant, planning director is taking the place of.
Is that,
Manning.
okay,
They call her, what do they call her for?
No, they didn't call her interim,
Yeah,
did they? I can't recall
I
that.
think, I'm pretty sure they called her full, Laura.
Yeah, Laura
once he
Russell.
leaves, she'll be interim, no matter what you call her, you know?
No, it's her position.
Oh, her, so she's
Yes.
gonna be permanent?
Yes,
Yeah.
she,
Ah,
that was always the intention when she was hired, that
that-
was part of it.
oh, that will be the, what do you call it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Laura Russell is her name. I worked with her a bit, when Stanford was looking to, purchase Notre Dame. And so I had a couple meetings with her and she was wonderful to work with. So I think that'll be great.
Mhm.
They are recruiting for a position and they're recruiting it as assistant planning director / planning manager. So I think they're open to, you know,
Mhm.
what level of person will be. So
Very good.
we'll see. It'll evolve.
All right, and then I was away for a trip to France and a couple of other places, and it was interesting in Rome when we talked about water.
Aqueduct.
Yes, and the aqueduct that the Romans built, and they still stand today.
Yes.
And the Fontana di Trevi has actually was designed originally with natural water from the springs. Water was always coming, which is why it's situated where it is now. And water is supposedly potable water from all of it. The interesting part is that as we're driving through near the Vatican and all that area there were faucets with water running
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Constantly. There's
Yeah.
no
Mhm.
shuttle down.
and it's all potable water.
It
Yeah,
is,
it's all
it is.
potable
One
water.
of that in Switzerland.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
know.
like, what, it's wasted water.
Yeah.
But they are talking about the purification of, sewage and all that stuff, but they have not come to from the sewer to potable yet, so. And I go like, why not? It can happen, no, I don't think in Europe they will do that yet. So it's a matter of time.
They will
Dry,
eventually.
hot enough, they
A
will.
few
It's
more
been
heat
doing it
waves
for a
like
while.
that,
Yeah.
So.
We'll get there.
Yeah, so, but it was interesting, and it's amazing, so we tend to, wherever we are, we tend to gravitate to something that has to do with water, you find yourself talking about that stuff, so. But anyways, that was that, but glad to be back to this weather. Because it was extremely hot in the Vatican, when we met with the Pope, I had to wait like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Scorching heat, like I thought I was in the desert, And I didn't see anybody fainting, but I said, there's no way that there will be medical emergencies going around here because it's. And there were thousands and thousands of people. We had a very good seat, let's face it, but there were thousands of people waiting, you know. Anyways. So that was it. And communications? None?
Like that.
Anybody else have any other final words?
Not on the agenda, not on the agenda, okay.
The adjournment is though.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is before 9 o'clock, so
Who won?
meeting adjourned.